Hey, Will, so this would all underscore the idea that Nvidia, it's no longer just a hardware company. It is an AI platform or an AI ecosystem. And those platforms as a whole are under increasing scrutiny by antitrust regulators. You got the Digital Markets Act in the EU and by the FTC and DOJ here in America. Now, Nvidia's ecosystem, it has played a huge part in its success and dominance in artificial intelligence, but it's also one that's starting to open it up to more and more questions. Reuters reports that the French antitrust authority is set to move first, charging Nvidia for anti-competitive practices. In a regulatory filing last year, Nvidia said that regulators in the EU and China had also asked for information on its graphic cards. Now, charges could focus on the company's CUDA software, which in a report last week, the French watchdog said is, and I'm quoting here, the only one 100% compatible with the GPUs that have become essential for accelerated computing, i.e. AI processes. Now, the report also points to Nvidia's investments in CoreWeave as raising concerns and really at the heart of regulators' investigations into AI. This one and others that are ongoing are worries about self-dealing, incumbents, the big players, leveraging their market power, resources, or inside information to gain unfair advantages or to stifle competition. Now, many others would argue that Nvidia's success is not anti-competitive. It is a result of innovation and efficiency. They point to AMD and Nvidia's own mega-cap customers as strong competitors. And even myself, I get tons of pitches from well-capitalized startups that say they are challenging Nvidia's dominance. Bottom line is that this debate is just getting started. Regulators are proving faster and more nimble than ever. Nvidia could risk fines of as much as 10% of its global annual turnover or revenue for breaching French antitrust rules. A similar penalty structure, by the way, to the DMA, the Digital Markets Act, which over the last 2 weeks alone have accused Apple, Microsoft, and Meta of breaching its rules.
Nvidia is a company that's been recognized by Wall Street as the leader of the AI revolution and one of the best performers on the stock market. So it's really no surprise that the company is a source of never-ending debate between analysts and investors alike. You might have seen some people argue that Nvidia's bullish run has peaked and that it's all going to be downhill from here, while others see further upside potential in this stock. And the recent antitrust charges in France worry over meeting demand, give voice to bearish analysts. However, the sentiment is still mainly bullish, and this is made clear by the almost daily updates to price targets from analysts. So, in today's video, we're going to talk about 2 new bullish price targets for Nvidia stock, and why investors shouldn't be at all worried about the recent antitrust charges against the company. But first, if you want to keep up with Nvidia's latest updates and keep up with the stock market's latest news, you can follow our Twitter account. We post multiple times daily about the biggest changes and catalysts in the market, so click the follow button if you don't want to miss the newest market updates. Now, back to today's video.
Markets in the first half largely led higher by the AI trade. More than 2/3 of the S&P 500's gains for the year have come from names like Nvidia, Alphabet, Apple, and Microsoft. Investors want to know whether or not the AI trade, of course, is still hot on the back half of 2024 here. And for an investor's guide to the second half of the year, we're joined by Dana Doria, who is the Envestnet Co-Chief Investment Officer. Great to have you here in studio with us.
Thank you so much.
Absolutely.
Thanks for having me.
So first, let's start there with the AI trade that has absolutely fueled so much new vigor into a theme that investors who were perhaps a little bit more passive are now becoming a little bit more active about here. How much more legs do we think the AI trade has at this juncture?
Oh, I think the AI trade has plenty to go, right? We're sort of at the beginning of this. If AI takes off in any way, in any of the ways that we expect in terms of increasing productivity, enabling companies to change the way they do business, we're going to have a huge, huge demand for AI. So we're just at the start of this. I think what's going on, of course, is that there's a lot of focus around Nvidia. And so where goes Nvidia? Folks think goes the AI trade, which is not necessarily the case, right? This thing has to broaden out much more.
While many analysts expect the AI boom to move away from Nvidia and start benefiting other companies, we haven't really seen this happening outside of large caps, and Nvidia has really benefited the most. Indeed, the company's stock is up more than 150% year to date, and it's one of the stock market's top performers this year, despite the multiple pullbacks it saw. Bernstein analyst Stacy Rasgon is still bullish on Nvidia, and he wrote in a recent note to customers advising them to buy the stock. Notably, Rasgon has a $130 price target on Nvidia stock, and his bullishness is very significant because he mainly covers semiconductor companies, including Nvidia's main competitor, AMD, but he still favors Nvidia. And he's not the only analyst on Wall Street to be bullish. In fact, Truist analysts recently revealed that they believe Nvidia still has room to grow, even after it briefly became the world's most valuable company. So let's get into what they had to say and their Nvidia stock price target. Hello, everyone, and welcome back to Investocracy.
Morgan Stanley was talking positively about NVIDIA today. We've heard a lot of positive comments about NVIDIA overall, even as it's been an incredible winner. It's come off those highs. At the same time, you have another antitrust headline, this one from France today. That was breaking news at the top of the show. Hasn't affected the stock really at all. Where do you think NVIDIA is headed?
Well, look, I mean, Nvidia is the industry darling right now. I mean, it's out there, and you know, anybody that's in AI and working on those production workloads I was talking about, excuse me, are using Nvidia, using those types of technologies to kind of push their production workloads forward. Yeah, there's some concerns about you know, regulations and antitrust that's out there. I think that is part of our evolution and learning of what the impacts of AI will be on data in general. Overall, data is really where businesses are going to thrive and their applications are going to need it. And the performance of these workloads require technologies like NVIDIA to back it up.
Truist Bank recently raised its price target on Nvidia stock from $128 to $140, which is a bit more optimistic than Stacey Rasgon's price target. The bank believes that the runway is just opening up for Nvidia, and the analysts noted that Nvidia becoming the largest company by market cap doesn't actually affect anticipated returns on investment. In their analysis of other companies that have grabbed the #1 spot, Truist found that, while firms initially stagnate in their stock performance relative to the S&P 500, the stocks generally outperform the benchmark index over the long term. And so, the analysts maintain their view that Nvidia is the top choice for investing in the artificial intelligence boom, citing the chipmaker's industry contacts and expanding demand for its GPU architecture. Keep in mind that while Nvidia stock might be pulling back now, it still had a groundbreaking year in 2024, and the company has even added billions to its market cap just 6 months into 2024. Not for nothing, Nvidia's quarterly earnings performance has been nothing short of excellent. Indeed, in its April earnings report, the company handily beat revenue, net income, EPS, and guidance estimates. With all of this in mind, should investors be buying Nvidia shares on the dip? Let's find out. But first, if you made it this far into the video, thank you. These videos take a lot of effort and time to make, so if you enjoyed them, please hit the like button and subscribe to the channel. This goes a long way in helping us grow. That said, back to the video.
NVIDIA shares pulling back today. The AI market darling falling further from that record high that it reached not too long ago. Our next guest, though, isn't worried about the bumpy path that we have seen for NVIDIA over the last several weeks. He's got a buy rating on the stock, the highest price target on the street. We want to bring in Hans Mosesmann. He is Rosenblatt Securities, a senior research analyst. It's great to have you here. So when you take a look at what has been certainly a volatile couple of weeks for NVIDIA, some of that sell-side pressure on the stock, why isn't that worrisome to you?
Well, we're entering new territory for NVIDIA. You know, the valuation really out of thin air almost over the past year. The move has been such that it has, you know, people kind of worried, like, how's that even possible? And it requires you to have an understanding of what's going on with AI and their leadership position. So it could be a little bumpy, but from a secular perspective, for the next 10 years, this is going to be the way to play AI. They're at another level. And I think people have to just get used to that. And they're not a semiconductor company anymore. They're a platform. They're all things AI.
And Hans, you know, I'm assuming if you're bullish on NVIDIA too, Hans, you must be also then bullish on just the bigger mega trend of AI that you must think, you know, yeah, yes, it is this paradigm shift. And yes, Jensen Huang is right when he talks about, you know, how the next industrial revolution has begun, Hans.
Yeah, that's right. So there are a couple of moving parts. And so the cloud, which is where most of NVIDIA's business is not going to be the home of all things AI. As time goes on, more AI gets done not up there in the cloud, but in the mid-edge, the far edge, and it opens up the door for more efficient solutions in terms of platform, hardware, and even software. So there are other players that will benefit from that transition, such as AMD, such as ARM, a little company called Lattice that we cover. So there's other participants, but in terms of the value capture of AI, NVIDIA may lose unit market share, but they may actually gain value because they're monetizing the entire stack. That's the entire rack, the entire software that goes around that. So it's a formidable model that I think people have yet to kind of fully grasp.
Over the past month, Nvidia has had stock fluctuations. Not only that, but the stock has faltered in recent trading days. Right now, investors are trying to discern whether the company's valuation has gotten too far ahead of itself, or if the stock is worth what the market says it is. Regardless, some experts have suggested the decline might be due to AI fatigue or concerns about index concentration. This might be the case, as other AI stocks are falling too. For instance, Super Microcomputer, a seller of servers fitted with Nvidia's AI chips, fell 8.7%, while competitor Dell dropped 5.2%. Not only that, but chip designer ARM fell 5.8%, and semiconductor giants Qualcomm and Broadcom declined by 5.5% and 3.7% respectively. These companies had been major gainers recently, benefiting from heavy investor bets on AI spending. Still, Nvidia stands out as one of the best AI investments out there, in our opinion. And this is because while concerns about AI are valid, skepticism about Nvidia stock seems unfounded. The company's recent earnings report, with record revenues and strong margin growth, reflects sustained high demand. This underlines the genuine excitement and investment in AI. And even if AI is currently experiencing a setback, it's too important of a technology to continue pulling back and will likely see a recovery soon. Let's not forget that experts are saying that the market for AI technologies is vast, as it was valued at around $200 billion in 2023 and is expected to grow well beyond that to over $1.8 trillion by 2030. There's also the fact that even as Nvidia prepares to begin bulk shipments of its new Blackwell AI platform, its H100 and H200 GPUs are still in high demand. And that's because many of Nvidia's customers have been waiting in line to get these high-strength computing chips needed for training generative AI models. We think that those sales will remain strong, even as shipments of the new Blackwell chip accelerate, so investors should still feel comfortable buying Nvidia shares. Even after the massive gains and pullbacks, there is a strong base of sales and an even stronger pipeline of new AI products ahead. But what do you think about Nvidia stock? Is it a buy at the current price? Let us know your thoughts in the comment section. And don't forget to tell us what your valuation for Nvidia is. If you would like to know what companies like Nvidia have been up to these past few days, go ahead and click on the next video on your screen. See you there.